Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why Ohio Democrats belong in Ohio prison for pushing gun control, and it all starts and ends with deprivation of rights under color of law. Something I've mentioned on this channel many times, and something that nobody, no cop in the state of Ohio or any other state for that matter, actually is willing to put their career on the line for, because it's a misdemeanor crime instead of being a felony like it needs to be nationwide at this point. So it's a bunch of shit, man, entirely. But yeah, you got Democrats lying their asses off again in this state. You got them falsely claiming that the overwhelming majority of Democrats and Republicans support gun control. Oh, you mean the 468 jackasses you motherfuckers pulled for some bullshit USA Today poll recently? Oh yeah, motherfuckers. You think that we can't look shit up, right? But guess what, dude? As soon as I hear that BS, as soon as I hear, oh, 92% support this BS, 80% support this BS, all that crap like that, dude, it's like, nah. You gotta be talking about low-ass numbers. And of course they are, dude. It's just like that one the other day they did 4 or 5 days ago with that same survey people with the USA Today / whatever the hell it was, Suffolk survey poll people or whatever, where they were claiming that the majority of people in the state support abortion, yet meanwhile, when you look at the actual raw numbers, it's less than 500 people that were polled for that, mostly in Columbus, in the fucking major city area, where you have Ohio State and a bunch of other colleges down there, so you're talking about a bunch of college-age kids, dude, is what you're talking about, in many cases. So yeah, most people don't support your horseshit gun control, you fucking assholes. They only support it when you make some skewed-ass fucking poll of less than 500 people, or right around 500 people, and then you're like, hey, look, 88% support, we should totally pass a bunch of disarmament bullshit. Go fuck yourself, you Hitler wannabes. Go fuck yourself, you Stalin wannabe fucking Nazi pricks. Because that's exactly what you fuckers are pushing, dude. That's exactly what motherfuckers are pushing us to. And I'm going to call your bitch ass out by name, Allison Russo, because your fucking criminal ass should be the first one in jail right now. You should have been in fucking Ohio prison 4 goddamn years ago when you fucking put your name to red flag laws, bitch. And you should have been in prison 2 fucking years ago when you took a direct bribe from Moms Demand Action members in the House Oversight Committee in May of 2021, where you literally were handed a fat fucking envelope like that was clearly full of cash, and nobody in the General Assembly bothered getting off their asses to actually investigate your fucking ass for it. Which, by the way, we know for a fact it was an envelope full of cash, because we know for a fact your bitch ass was running for Congress at the time, and you should have been fucking tossed out of office based on that alone. When you're trying to run for that special election down there that Mike Carey ended up becoming a congressman over there. So, yeah, that's the entire problem right now with group politician stuff, dude. And it's also the reason why pieces of shit like Megan Henry at the Ohio Capitol Journal and Anna Shraver from Columbus Dispatch need to be having their asses arrested at this point for pushing false narratives and other things like that, dude. Or like the Susan Page woman a little back on the 24th, which was 4 days ago now, when she was talking about Bellwether, Ohio voters back abortion rights amendment in a test case for other states, and then talks about the majority supporting the stuff, even though when they talk about the poll here, it was 500 likely voters in the state of Ohio for the abortion poll. And then what's interesting too, by the way, this is how, by the way, for those interested in why the mainstream media needs to no longer be having freedom of press protections in this country ever again, it's because they're not press anymore. They're not press. They're not journalists. I am more of a journalist than these fucking cunts are, dude. I am more of a person of the press than these fucking scumbags are by definition, just because of the fact that when you look at how our founders founded the Constitution and our right to freedom of press and everything else like that, dude, they didn't mean for a bunch of scumbag corporations to buy out individuals and have a bunch of monopolizing shit there to where you can push a bunch of lies and deception and stuff like that, which is what it is at the end of the day, dude. That's why Anna Shraver, that's why, or not Shraver, Staver, that's why all these other people that are doing these various articles we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes is what it is. That's why they should all be catching charges right now for deception. It should be deception and lies that they're charged with at this point, dude. And they should be arrested on those criminal charges, honestly, because you are actively pushing lies and bullshit, dude. And why are they pushing lies and bullshit? Because they never actually tell you the truth here. And we're going to go to that right now, actually. So, from Anna Staver, and for those wondering why I hate Anna Staver, by the way, this fucking worthless cunt, this happened about probably, give or take, 3 to 4 months back now. So it was like March, April of this year. I was on Twitter, obviously, under the Hot Patriot Education Network moniker, because I was on there all the time doing stuff and whatnot. I was calling out the insurrection that the leftists were doing here in the state of Ohio at the time. Which, by the way, when you look into what they were doing, when you look at how they were trying to take over our chambers, etc., it is the textbook definition of what an insurrection actually is. And so I called it out by name. This fucking dumb bitch that works for these fake news rags like Columbus Dispatch inserted herself into the fucking conversation that she had nothing to do with to begin with, trying to shit talk myself and the rest of the network, and was like, oh, they think this is an insurrection, and then like bullshitting about how it was just like some bullshit or whatever. Then it's like, no, bitch, you fucking people are doing what you claim the right has been doing, because you're a bunch of gaslighting motherfucking cunts, and you always have been. You are the biggest scumbag, wannabe actual fucking Nazis in this country in 2023 right now, because your entire endgame, and I know what your fucking endgame is because I used to be one of ya. Your fucking endgame is literally total disarmament of the American people so that you can come in and genocide our asses in death camps. That's exactly what your fucking endgame is, dude. Maybe not your personal endgame, but it's the endgame of the fucking left at this point. It's the endgame of the scumbags who were bought and paid for by George Soros, Michael Bloomberg, etc., dude. Because they know the only way that they can push tyranny upon us is through massive disarmament. And good luck not creating a civil war when you're pulling that shit, dude. Good luck not having the American people resist you in a second American Revolution if that were to happen. And that's exactly what you're pushing us towards, dude. They're pushing us towards civil war. They're pushing us towards revolution. They're pushing us towards balkanization events. And they're pushing us towards a fight between political parties at this point. But anyway, where this all came from actually was Cam Edwards talking on Bearing Arms yesterday. His title was Ohio Democrats Push Gun Control as Major Midterm Issue. And he talked about the poll here that I'm going to talk about here in a minute is what it is. And then he was also talking about Cleveland here. We're going to go to his, we're actually going to bring up his, a still shot of his video there on YouTube from yesterday when he was talking about the Cleveland mayor and the idiot Mike O'Malley, who's the prosecutor there, who are going to his Soros paid DA is what it is. But first, before we do that, we're going to talk about this retarded moron at the Columbus Dispatch right now, this Anna Staver chick. So basically, as she was saying, lawmakers, Columbus mayor call for state leaders to act on gun reforms. So here's that dumb bitch Allison Russo right here with her hands folded in front of her next to idiot Mayor Ginther. And when you go up, the woman in the Moms Demand Action shirt directly behind Ginther, about 3 or 4 steps up there, is Christine Woolworth. She is the paid Moms Demand Action member, paid by Michael Bloomberg and Shannon Watts. And I'm pretty sure it was either her or one of the chicks that's standing directly behind Russo that was the one that actually bribed Russo 2 years ago. They handed her that fat envelope full of cash, actually. So, yeah, that's exactly why Russo and pretty much every single one of these fucking cunts in Moms Demand Action shirt needs to be arrested right now for massive bribing of state officials is what it is, dude. And a state official taking bribes from an anti-gun organization as well on top of that. So anyway, says, quote, citing new polling that shows most Ohioans support gun control laws like universal background checks and mandatory training to carry concealed weapons, Democrat lawmakers from Columbus demanded action from state lawmakers on Thursday. Quote, the numbers don't lie when it comes to what Ohioans, both Republican and Democrat, want us to do about it, said House Minority Leader Allison Russo. Yeah, they actually do lie, you fucking cunt, because you lie continuously when you talk about the numbers, you fucking whore. You lie continuously when you discuss various bullshit here. And that's why you have your Anna chick here, not even admitting how many people were actually polled for this, because that's why you want to say it's like, oh, it's 88% of all Ohioans. In that case, what you would be is you'd be deceiving people because you'd be acting as if millions of people in this state, by the way, there's almost 12 million people in the state of Ohio. They're acting as if like 10 million people support this shit, when in reality, it's like 300 to 400 people of a 500 person fucking poll is what it is, dude. That's who actually supports this bullshit. So anyway, so yeah, you do lie, Allison, because you're a lying fucking cunt. You've lied through your goddamn teeth the whole fucking time you've been in office. The only reason, by the way, the only reason this fucking blonde bitch is even in office right now is because she ran a single candidate race in 2022, in 2020, and in 2018 in the Upper Arlington area in district, I believe it's either 7 or 9 right now. And yeah, she's never actually beaten anybody in primaries or general elections to even get into office, dude. She has done at least 2 one-horse races in the last 2 election cycles alone. And I believe she did a third one back in 2018, or if she didn't, she maybe beat like one person in the primary back then is what it was. But yeah, as I said here for this BS thing where they don't talk about the numbers here, it says a Suffolk University / USA Today Network Ohio Bureau poll released Thursday found 92% of Ohioans support mandatory background checks for firearm purchases. What's interesting too, by the way, so they say mandatory background checks for firearm purchases. That is not universal background checks, you dumb motherfuckers. That is somebody going up to somebody on the street and being like, do you support background checks for gun purchases? And they're like, yes. And then, of course, you falsely throw in the universal background check thing after that. That's what that shit is right there. But that's not what they support, dude. What they support is background checks, which, by the way, if you go to an FFL in this country, which is where most firearms are bought from, you have to do a background check every time you do that. Of course, none of you fucking leftist cunts have ever done that because you're not fucking gun owners is what it is, dude. That's why, honestly, and I'll say it like I'll say it right now, dude. If you are any kind of person pushing for gun control in this country, if you have never filled out a 4473, your ass is disqualified on the fucking spot is what it is on that one alone, dude. Because right there, you're falsely claiming shit by not ever doing an actual background check yourself, number one. Number two, you're trying to deprive people of our constitutional right to keep bear arms in this country because you want to push through a bunch of other shit that you know we'd kill you over is what it is. And that's what it is at the end of the day, by the way. That's why they want total disarmament. That's why Bloomberg and company want total disarmament. That's why they're all their proxies like Alice Rose want total disarmament, dude. Because they know if we actually have guns and they try to push through shit like massive baby killing, child sterilization and stuff, we would put their asses to a fucking firing squad. You would actually have the American people line these fuckers up against a fucking wall and take them out, dude. That's what it would be at the end of the day. And that's the entire point. And that's why they're pissed scared right now. That's why they want to disarm everybody, dude. Because they know for a fact if they don't, that would be their end game. That would be the end game of their fucking final days on Earth right there is what it would be. Their final minutes on Earth would be actively being taken out, put up against a fucking wall like they need to be because they're a bunch of goddamn dictator, Nazi, fucking tyrant pieces of shit is what it is, dude. So, anyway. And truthfully, that's honestly why deprivation of rights or color of law should be a fucking death penalty right now across the board. That should be the only charge for it, honestly. Because it should be so severe that the only thing would be an actual death penalty charge would be, dude. And that's the thing with deprivation of rights or color of law, by the way. You have 4 different charges on it depending on severity of the crime. It's obviously 1 year and 1 day in prison for the lowest charge. You can never hold elected office ever again after that. Then it goes 10 years in prison, never hold elected office after that. Lifetime imprisonment or death penalty. Again, depending on how severely you've deprived people of their constitutional rights and stuff like that's what it is. So, and I would say, honestly, totally disarming Americans, especially in the entire state right there, is death penalty level charges is what it is, dude. Legitimately. So, anywho. But yeah, they falsely were claiming that 92% of Ohioans supported mandatory background check for firearm purchases. 88% want mandated training for those who carry concealed weapons, and 75% support safe storage laws. It says Democrats have introduced several bills in the current legislative season, but none have been voted on, including House bill. By the way, they say none have been voted on, but yet they've actually been given hearings in our state house a couple of times, actually, even though they're 100% Democrat backed. You know why they've been given those hearings? Because pieces of shit like Bob Peterson, a rhino sack of shit, is still in office after terming out in our state Senate and then breaking state term limits and running in the state house last year and winning. Again, I'm pretty sure it was a one-horse race on that one in that district, dude. And so he beat nobody in the primaries, beat nobody in General Assembly, or beat nobody in the general election to actually get to the General Assembly is what it was. And yet, I don't know if he's fucking Alice, I don't know if he's fucking Michelle Grimm. I don't know if he's fucking Jessica Miranda, if he's having multiple 3 rows of both these women in the back or whatever it is, dude. But yet he's given both of them hearings, at least one anyway, of each of these things, on both universal background checks and safe storage laws, which are completely unconstitutional, by the way. and our stuff exactly why I've now come out and said we are going to Article 1, Section 2 these motherfuckers, because they do not need to be in our state house anymore, dude, and it's time to actually file petitions against them to remove their asses from office once and for all is what it is, and then charge them with various crimes they're committing right now is what it is after the fact. So, anyway, to go to Anna's BS here when she's sucking the Democrat dick for gun control here. Well, it's House Bill 170, red flag laws. 175, safe storage laws. 217 would require gun trigger locks to be attached and provided with firearm sales for federally firearms license dealers. So here's the problem I have with that, with 217 right there. You already have that, you dumbasses. Again, this is what happens, you fucking retards, when you don't actually own guns or fill out 4473s at fucking FFLs in this country. You don't actually see the cable locks that come with every handgun. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that there's a gun lock with every, long gun or shotgun or whatever the case be, because in most cases there's not, because it's impossible to do that is what it is, dude. It would be physically impossible unless you're putting like an actual like small lock on the trigger itself is what it is, which again is not a cost that would be going to the manufacturer of said firearm. It would be a cost included to the consumer of said firearm. So fuck you, you fucking pieces of shit Democrats that want to keep upping the amount it would cost for people like me, poor people like myself, to buy firearms in this country, you fucking cunts. And that's, by the way, that is another reason why I fought for over a year of my fucking life under the Ohioans for Firearms Freedom moniker to get constitutional carry passed last year on June 13, 2022, because people like myself could not afford the mandatory training that you fuckers want. And that's the entire point, dude. You want to give people mandatory training? Okay, why don't we have mandatory training to vote, dude? Why don't we have mandatory testing for voting rights in this state, in this country? Why don't you have to pass an actual constitutional test to be able to vote, you fucking worthless MDA cunts? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you fucking sacks of shit decided 100 fucking years ago, your ancestors, that they wanted to be the suffragettes, and then fucking like be all like, oh, women's empowerment. We need to fucking have voting rights now. And what was the first thing your fucking ancestors did, by the way? Oh, yeah, they voted in one of the worst presidents in U.S. history in 1920. That's what happened there. And it's funny because when you look at women's voting rights in this country, by the way, I'm going to go on a whole little tirade right now on that. I'm not care if people say it's misogynistic or not at this point, because fuck it. I'm just going to do it anyway. The entire point of 19th Amendment, dude, is when you start looking down at everything on that whole thing entirely, you realize just how women's rights have fucked us over right now when it comes to voting rights in multiple election cycles. And on that matter, when it comes to the 26th Amendment for 18 over to vote as well, for that matter, because they always vote Democrat for the most part is what it is, dude, almost always. There are very few people I personally met that are not default Democrat voters at the age of 18, honestly, depending on the state they live in. And it's a sad fact of life, honestly, dude. And again, it goes back to the indoctrination in our school systems in most cases, where you got these people indoctrinated for 12 years of their lives from age, 5, 6 to 18 is what it is. And then they tell these kids, oh, you should totally be able to have abortion on demand. Oh, communism is so great and capitalism sucks. And all this other stupid bullshit. And then, of course, you got the literal fucking Communist Party of Ohio that is backing the Vote No campaign on issue 1 right now. That should tell you everything you need to know about why you need to vote yes on issue 1 come August 8th, man. For real. So, anyway. Let's see what else we got here now. Yeah, and the other bill that idiot Anna was talking about was House Bill 218 / Senate Bill 78, which would restore, quote, local government authority to regulate firearms, which, by the way, for those interested in that one, it would basically be destroy state preemption is what it is actually on that one, is what they're trying to do with that shit, dude, because they want to enact local gun controls at city levels and stuff like that and completely fuck over our rights in this state is what it is, dude, which is exactly a piece of shit like Andrew Ginther and Justin Bibb both need to have the handcuffs slapped on and yank the fuck out of office by force at this point, dude. And then they continued on here and said, in recent years, Ohio lawmakers have moved in the opposite direction, choosing to remove restrictions on gun ownership and use. Oh, you mean actually abiding by the oaths they swore to the Constitution when they took office and protecting the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution for Ohioans? Is that what you're talking about, Anna? Yeah, that's what you're talking about, you dumb cunts. I'm going to correct you on that one, bitch, because you're a fucking dumb whore. Says GOP-controlled legislator lowered requirements for teachers who want to keep guns in their classrooms. It's not really keep guns in the classrooms; it's keep guns on themselves to enact or to confront active shooters and stop them from being able to kill a bunch of people in a gun-free zone. Is what it is there. So it eliminated the legal duty to retreat during an altercation before firing a gun, which, by the way, is called stand your ground, you dumb whore. And removed state-mandated training requirements for carrying concealed weapons. Again, there was never state-mandated training. What you're talking about is literally forcing people to pay a fucking fee to actually use their Second Amendment constitutional rights at that point. The only right in the Constitution, by the way, that actually says shall not be infringed behind it. And forcing them to pay bullshit permitting fees to be able to have ability to be able to carry a gun on them concealed. Which, by the way, 8 hours of training was bullshit to begin with. That's what I think is funny too, by the way. So you have all these moms man action types, these Gifford types, these leftists like Anna Staver, etc., who are bitching and moaning about training requirements. Yet if they actually took an 8-hour course, you know what they would find out really quickly? That the 8-hour course is basically 6 hours of various gun laws and shit in a classroom, and then like an hour and a half to 2 hours on a range where you're shooting maybe a handful of times, if even that many. And then you have your concealed carry license paperwork to go with a concealed carry license is what it is. I know that for a fact because I've actually looked into taking them before, and I was going to take one if I had the money. Unfortunately, I didn't have the $130 fucking dollars what it costs to do it, man. Because for most people, $130 is not fucking chicken feed, dude, especially in this economy. That is a portion of rent. That is a utility bill. That is a fucking car payment in some cases, depending, or at least part of a car payment anyway. You know? That is groceries for the week or a week and a half or whatever it is for their family, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, you're all again. The only thing that gun control is about, it's not about guns, it's about control, and it's about controlling the poor and controlling classes. AKA, you want to control the poor, which in most cases are poor white people and poor minorities, and do it on a classist issue, which again, always targets the fucking poor. Because you want to force through bullshit to do fees and permitting and cost of ownership to even own a firearm. And you want to cost people out of being able to protect themselves versus the criminal element in cities all across every single state in this country. Because that's what you are. You are the literal KKK of 2023, motherfuckers. You are what the Klansmen in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s did all the way through Jim Crow shit. You're the motherfuckers that put pistol permit purchasing in place, just like that fucking cunt Michael Bloomberg did with BM 114 in Oregon, that he literally paid like $2.36 per person to push that bullshit through, dude. So, anyway. I'm going to go screen share again this article because I want to talk about a couple things in it right now. I'm actually going to take a drink of water before we continue on too, because I'm kind of a little bit parched from being pissed, and it's also hot here too. So, anyway, so this is where she was talking about all the stuff that's been done away with, like actually enacting stand your ground and stuff like that. And then said, oh, by the way, I want to point something out too on that whole thing. Had I been home July 21st of 2021, I would have been in a stand your ground situation in my own home, dude. Because that was the day that two assholes broke in and stole one of my firearms. And your bullshit safe storage laws wouldn't have done a fucking thing, dude. Because again, you can talk about safe storage all you fucking want, dude. In order for that to be permanently enacted, you would have to have police/military in this country being given full reign to illegally enter people's houses at any given time and search through their shit to make sure that their guns are in a gun safe, gun lock, or whatever the case be. which, by the way, is a Fourth Amendment rights violation where you look at just exactly why they put that shit in red flag laws, by the way, so they can sit there and break your Fourth Amendment rights all the time they want to, just like your First, Second, Fifth, Sixth, Eighth, Ninth, 10th, and 14th Amendments for that matter, which is what red flag laws do as well, man. It's self-incrimination, it's anti-free speech, anti-Second Amendment, anti-cruel and unusual punishment, etc., dude. That's what red flag laws are at the end of the day. They also break due process in the 14th Amendment, etc. there. Break states' rights, break individuals' rights under states' rights is what it really is, honestly. So, yeah, it's just all kinds of shit, dude. But anyway, it says Republicans say these changes better protect the Second Amendment and said that more gun violence originates from people who aren't legal gun owners, because it does, dude. That's the entire point, actually. It says, quote, failed liberal mayors like Ginther, Bibb, and Lightfoot in Chicago are solely responsible for embracing the immediate release of violent felons, undermining their police force, Republican state spokesman John Forty said in a statement. I think that's actually DeWine's guy, if I'm not mistaken. Said, quote, they would rather punish law-abiding citizens who simply want to protect themselves and their families under the Second Amendment. Vote yes on issue 1, or these liberals will demand you hand over your firearm. Then, of course, there's that dickhead Ginther who should have been in prison a long-ass time ago when he pushed for gun control like 6-7 years back now. With some fucking idiot from Moms Doing Action or whatever the case be. And I love how this idiot's shirt/code, whatever it is, here says, stop the violence, save kids, not gun. Shouldn't it be guns? Jesus Christ, dude. How illiterate are you people? Seriously, bro. Fucking anti. By the way, when I say you people, I mean anti-gunners. This is what I'm talking about. Just to make sure people don't think I'm going on the racial line on that one. Because I'm not even sure what this dude's race is. He looks like he might be something or other, is what it is. But that's the entire point, though, dude. It should be not guns. Like, proper grammar would dictate it would be not save kids, not guns kind of thing or whatever. But the entire thing of that is, though, even when you look at it from that perspective of stuff, dude, if you actually had people parenting in this country and raising these kids in two-parent households, you actually had fathers stepping up and actually creating fathered homes, not fatherless homes, in the black community, brown community, etc. there, you would not have these issues. You wouldn't have these, 10, 12, 14-year-old black kids or, Latino kids, whatever it is there, going out there and doing gangbanger shit, dude. Because they would be raised right. They would actually have a father figure in their lives to teach them right from wrong is what it is. And discipline them, They would understand that there's bounds and stuff like that. Because that's the problem with a lot of these kids, dude. They think they have no consequences for their actions. And when you have dumbasses like Justin Bibb acting as a bullshit father figure, whatever the case be, and being like, okay, go ahead and let him back out, Mike O'Malley. Oh, just try them as juveniles and not adults right now and let them back out in 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is. Oh, their trial isn't up for a year now. Just let them back out and let them carjack some more people now is what it is, dude. Because that's what they're doing with these fucking punk-ass kids, dude. They're not, first of all, not charging them as adults when they're like, 10, 12, 14 years old, whatever it is there. And doing this shit, dude, 16, 18, whatever, 17. And then you got Tara McLeod situations, like when she killed Shane Bartak about 6-8 months ago now is what it is. Actually, it was about 7-8 months ago now. Where she literally killed a soft-duty cop then, dude, after she was already a multi-time felon in the juvenile courts by doing a bunch of gangbanger shit with her buddies and going and robbing a pizza joint and then robbing some other people is what it was on top of that then. And she already should have been sitting in a Cuyahoga County jail for months before that for all those other crimes and not even out on the fucking streets is what it is, dude. And that's the problem. And then people wonder why less than a year ago now, back in November of 2022 during the midterm elections, why you had us enact by over a 60% margin the ability for judges in the state to look at violent criminals and put higher bails on these people. It's like, yeah, because we don't want these fucking people back in our damn streets, dude. That's the entire point. We don't want fucking violent felons walking around our streets to kill more of our citizenry is what it is. And that's something these dumbass Democrats don't understand because pieces of shit like Allison Russo, where do they live? She lives in the richest, whitest fucking district in the Columbus area in Upper Arlington, dude, where you have to have a minimum of at least like $3 to $5 million to buy a house there, or even more in some cases. Because she's a fucking white supremacist legitimately, dude. Like Hitler would be legitimately proud of this bitch, dude. This blonde fucking whore right here, man. In her little fucking pink coat and shit there. In her blue dress. There's another side shot of her dumbass. With her khaki looking ass heels or whatever it is there, flats. I think that's what she's wearing there that day. Oh, by the way, for those interested, the dumbass black dude in the blue suit there is that dipshit Herschel Craig. He's one of the state senators actually that's behind a lot of this gun control. He should have been arrested as well back in 2019 for all the shit he was pushing because he was one of the co-sponsors or primary sponsors of, I believe, red flag laws and also universal background checks back then is what it was. So anyway, so we're right here where they were talking about people disarming, but yes on issue 1. It says Democrats, including those who lead Columbus, say Ohio has become less safe, only in Democrat hell pockets in the state, by the way, and new state laws restricting how cities regulate firearms potentially violate Ohio's right to home rule, aka state preemption. Quote, we need the state and federal governments to step up, said dipshit Mayor Andrew Ginther, and if they don't have the potential courage to act, they need to get out of the way. No, your bitch ass needs to resign from office, you dickless piece of shit, and you should have resigned from office over 6 years ago, Ginther. The reason Columbus is a shithole, buddy, is 100% on you, dickhead. It's you and your fucking failures as mayor there. And it's a dumbass city council that wants to enact gun control instead of actually prosecuting violent criminals for doing violent criminal shit in Columbus. Anyway, it says in December, city council unanimously passed a series of gun control ordinances, which, by the way, all violate state preemption, including banning magazines over 30 rounds and penalties for people who, quote, negligently store their firearms, aka forcing through safe storage laws that can't be enacted is what it is. So proposal changes are on hold because of legal challenges by Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. There's another picture of that stupid cunt Russo. She just looks like honestly, just looking at this woman, she just looks like a fucking retard, man. Like she doesn't have like full brain capacity right there, dude. Honestly, truthfully, in that particular picture, she kind of looks like a human chipmunk with the way her mouth is and shit, dude. Actually, looking at that now, it almost looks like she's like trying to take a shit and not sure if she needs to take a shit right now or take a shit later is what it is while she's at the podium there. So, anyway. But yeah, that was the end of that article. So, I don't know if that keeps popping up or not because every time I hit the thing, it keeps like doing weird shouts on me. So, anywho, let's see where we are right now. Yeah, and then of course you got the second bullshit article from Ohio. What was it here? The Ohio Capitol Journal, which are a bunch of fake news motherfuckers, saying no shooting death is just a number. Ohioans call for common sense, common gun sense. And then they were talking about this poll here and actually provided a link to the poll, which I then used to look up said poll. And when you start looking at the fucking numbers here, base, those who identify, total number, 468 people. Democrats, 152. Republicans, 190. Skip the primary, 66. Undecided, 58 people. Refused to answer, 2 people. That's who answered this fucking BS poll was 468 people that they're trying to claim 92% support background checks, 99% are Democrats, 98% Republicans, or 88% Republicans, et cetera, et cetera. And then a bunch of other crap on there as well, dude. Also, you got to love, by the way, how they always push the fakest fake news in these things. Firearms accounted for nearly a fifth of childhood deaths when you count child ages 1 to 18. Yeah, literally, you take out gangbangers. You take out teenage criminals from those numbers. So it's basically anybody over the age of 13 that is a criminal, from 13 to 18 that's criminal, and that number goes way the fuck down. It's like 1 in a million, basically, at that point, dude. So yeah, sitting there calling 17 and 18-year-olds children is a slap in the face, dude. They're teenagers, number one. At 18, they can vote legally. They're legal adults at that point, you jackasses. They claim died of firearms-related injuries in 2021. Yeah, and how many of those by the CDC there were gang violence? How many of those were black-on-black shootings in ghettos, dude? That's what I want to know right there. Because I guarantee it was nearly 90% of them, if that be the case then. So, yeah, it's a bunch of crap, dude. Oh, actually, here's one that's even better. Going back to the Ohio Capital Journal. So they straight up admit they're fucking deceiving people right here, dude, halfway through the article. Poll results, about 3/4 of Ohioans went laws mandating safe storage of guns and red flag laws that would allow family members and police to remove firearms. 92% of Democrats, 65% Republicans are in support of safe storage laws. When it comes to red flag laws, 92% Democrats, 59% Republicans were in favor. 88% of Ohioans want mandatory training for concealed carry licenses, which, by the way, you already have to go through mandatory training for concealed carry licensing, you dumb fucks. You clearly don't understand that because you don't bother doing your fucking research, retards. You don't know shit about guns. That's the entire point. It says including 90% Democrats, 83% Republicans. The Suffolk poll surveyed 500 registered Ohioans earlier this month over the phone with a margin of 4.4% difference. But yeah, so you're talking about 92% of roughly 500 people, 96% of 500 people. And it talks about legislation and going down the thing. There's what it is. And then, of course, they bitch about Al Catrona, one of our state reps here, the Republican, introducing a bill a couple months ago that would exempt guns and ammunition from sales tax in the state of Ohio, as they should. They should be exempt, dude. You shouldn't force through that burden on people anymore. And then it said, some common sense legislation has been reduced, but hasn't made it that very far. No, this bullshit you're talking about, Jessica Miranda and Daryl Brewer, is not common sense legislation, you idiot. Common sense legislation is what Al Catrona introduced there, which would be to do away with taxation of guns and ammo. The bullshit you fucking lying ass pricks are talking about is the safe storage crap here. Or like asshole Matt Dolan with 357 last year, where he tried to push gun control through a Senate Finance Committee that he chaired, yet meanwhile is now trying to run for U.S. Senate as well, and why he should be tossed out of fucking office right there. And then it talks about, obviously, you got to go back and talk about the Dayton massacre again 4 years ago, where people were like, do something. Yeah, DeWine did, bro, because he passed constitutional carry and stand your ground into law. Both of those things. Passed stand your ground in 2021, passed constitutional carry in 2022, baby. So, well, for me, it's 6:30 a.m. right now, and it's also a guy who has been up since like 2:30 this morning. So there you go. I took a nap last night. That's why you didn't see me in the chats or whatever there for NEA or anybody like that. So, but anyway. And then it goes on to talk about Columbus homicides and quote unquote gun violence there for this idiocy at the Ohio Journal is what it is there. So, but yeah, one thing I do want to mention though, this is something that Cam Edwards was talking about here in one of the articles that he had mentioned for his bearing arms thing yesterday, which was this whole thing out of Ohio here for Cleveland, Ohio. As crime in Cleveland continues to spike this summer, public officials have said publicly and privately that violence is the worst they've ever seen. Add Cuyahoga County prosecutor Mike O'Malley to that list. That was the bald-headed dumb motherfucker I talked about yesterday. It said during a press conference Wednesday, O'Malley declared that mayhem in Cleveland has reached an unprecedented threshold fueled by, quote, armed young people in stolen cars creating havoc in their wake. So you have teenagers stealing vehicles and stealing guns, two things that they cannot legally have in this state under the age of 18. And even at 18, you'd have to go through private sale to get a handgun or whatever the case or anything else like that. And good fucking luck finding somebody that's going to sell you a handgun or a long gun at the age of 18. Or I shouldn't say long gun. Sell you a handgun or something like an AR pistol at 18 there. because you obviously can't buy AR pistols either because they certainly fall under pistol category is what it is. Same thing with, I think, mini Dracos, if I'm not mistaken, and stuff like that also falls under that category at 18, to where you can't buy that until you're 21 at an FFL and stuff. So yeah, good luck finding someone that's going to sell you any of that stuff, dude, because most people ain't going to sell you that shit. And that's exactly why these gangbanging ass criminals go out there and steal the shit is what it is, man. Because they're a bunch of damn criminals. They're already committing one felony to steal the firearm, and then a second felony to go out there and steal a car as well on top of that. So it's just ridiculous, man. It really is. And then what's even more interesting, and this is something I do want to talk about before we finish off today. This was from Secretary of State Frank LaRose a couple days ago. This is when he had that debate where it was him and that Mike dude from Ohio Right to Life versus Allison Russo and some fucking ass clown from the ex-editor or whatever, the Columbus Dispatch there. And he said, breaking, as I predicted, new finance reports filed today, this was 11 hours ago, so it was yesterday afternoon, show $11.5 million pouring into Ohio from states of California, Virginia, New York, and D.C. to buy control of our state constitution, tell them to take their radical agenda and go home by voting yes on issue 1. This is what he said the other day during the debates here.
One of the reasons why it's so important that we not allow our Constitution to be for sale, and to make sure that we stand up and say that only with a supermajority vote can you change our state's founding document. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that it seems like, based on the airwaves, that the yes campaign is being outspent by the no campaign, and I've got to imagine a lot of their money is pouring in from out of state.
Yeah, and that's actually proven now. So it's a bunch of shit, man, entirely. I'm just so sick and tired of all of it, dude. And that's what I've said before, and I'll say it again. If I actually do become governor, if we actually don't go into civil war / revolution in this country in the next couple of years, and I am able to take down the Ohio governorship in 2026, legitimately, first thing I'm doing, we are wiping the slate clean of all these fucking Democrat mayors and shit, dude. Because we're just going to arrest every single one of these assholes for deprivation of law is what it is, for all the gun shit they try to push in the last few years now. And we will actually restore sanity to the state by also arresting state Democrats who've done the same fucking thing right now, by making deprivation of law a felony in the state once and for fucking all. So, anyway. But, so yeah, if you want to see sanity restored in Ohio, vote for me in 2026 for governorship. If we actually make it that far. Let's see here now. Actually, going back to Cam's thing, that article he was talking about said O'Malley was joined by a flock of city officials, including Mayor Justin Bibb, Police Chief Wayne Drummond, and Councilman Mike Polanski and Anthony Hairston to decry city violence. That's what it is, though. It's city violence, not gun violence, not gang. Most of the cases of gang violence is what it actually is linked to. Said officials presented video of a vicious beating of an apparently innocent man at a gas station who was attacked Tuesday by at least 10 people, some of who were armed. Again, bro. Seriously, who the fuck isn't carrying in a constitutional carry state in 2023 if you're over the age of 21, for God's sakes, dude? Like, seriously, if you were 21 years old in the state of Ohio and you were not carrying in a major city and you were legally able to carry, dude, that's on you for being attacked by a fucking gang of people, man. Because you should have been standing your ground right there and just be like, pop, 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 and fucking just unloaded mags on these motherfuckers, man. Seriously. Do what needs to be done to save yourself is what it is there. Anyway, continues on there and said, following the beating, which occurred in the city's Collinwood / Nottingham neighborhood, I think that's actually kind of a shithole area, a handful of assailants fired shots in the air, though their targets were unclear. No one was seriously injured, but the 34-year-old victim of the beating required medical treatment. So after the incident, police arrested and charged 12 juveniles. 12 juveniles. Let's think about that for a minute. 12 kids under the age of 18, dude. So 11 of them being held in the Cuyahoga in the county's juvenile correction facility, and a 12th, who was a 12-year-old girl, being put on a home detention program, aka they put an ankle monitor on her ass is what it was. No, I don't care if this girl is 12 or if she's fucking 20. Adult charges, motherfucker. You're committing adult felonies. Charge them as adults. You want to deal with this fucking criminality, dude? Do that shit. And you will legitimately have a better society after the day. Or after that day is what it is. God damn, bro. Seriously, 10 people beaten on this dude. At least some were armed. And yet they were all under the age of 18, dude. So again, who are they stealing these guns from? Are they stealing them out of cars because people are too stupid to take their guns at home with them? And they're leaving you in a fucking vehicle or underneath the seat or something like that, which is what it is in most cases, actually. Sadly. And that's why, honestly, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not for safe storage laws. What I am for, actually, is I am for the city at that point, or I am for the state of Ohio, literally saying, here is a fucking lockbox. Put this in your car. Here's how you install it. And handing them out for free to people. And that's what our taxpayer money goes towards, honestly, in some of these cases. And if that be the case and you can't get into the lockbox now because you're a dumbass that doesn't know how to fucking unlock a damn lockbox because you don't have the keys to it or you don't have the ability to actually pull it out of the vehicle or whatever, then good. Now you can't have access to that gun now and it's still safely secured is what it is, dude. And that would be betterment of our society right now. So, yeah, just fucking insane, dude. I'm gonna go back on this whole thing actually and see if I can find exactly where this article came from that Cam was referencing, because I'm trying to see if it's. Unfortunately, he didn't put any links to the description, is what it is. So I almost want to go to Bearing Arms right now and see if it's on their site, technically speaking, because there might be a link on that to the site actually. Let's see, Massachusetts, new study. Reveals states with fewest mass shootings are overwhelmingly pro-2A. Of course it is, dude. Okay, then we got the Democrat one. I'm going to see if they actually link it in that article then or not. Okay, here it is. It's the Plain Dealer Cleveland. Is what that article was. Okay, so hang on, let me grab the screen share for that. We'll do a screen share on that then. And that'll probably be the last thing we talk about for the day then. So, yeah. And there's the thing for worst crime ever and stuff like that. Yeah, vicious beating of at least 10 people. Continue reading article. Let's see, 12 youths. Let's see, citywide homicides are up 27% compared to this time last year. Shootings are up more than 10% according to latest police data. By the way, when you actually look at the cops who were all defunded in 2020 riots, Cleveland has like a deficit of like minus 700 cops right now that they need on the force, dude. That's why you have all those homicides and shit like that up by that crazy amount, dude, because you don't have enough police officers there to do anything. So Demali said the crime spike is fueled in part by rising juvenile violence. He pointed to recent homicide statistics, claiming that the murders committed by children this year are currently at 23, the same level as they were overall in 2021. Said crime wave comes as the number of sworn officers in Cleveland continues to plunge. The force is down, there you go, by 250 cops. I thought it was over 700 actually, so that was my bad. I think it's more than that, though, because I think they actually need more like 700 extra cops. Is what it is right now, dude, for real, to have like actual policing in that city is what it is then. So from the budget allotment allowed by recent disclosures, is that Drummond said that the shrinking force isn't to blame for the rising crime. Yes, it is, dude. Seriously, take some goddamn responsibility, Wayne Drummond, you fucking scumbag. That's the problem right there, dude. It's the head of the fucking snake that's the issue right now. And that's what I said before, dude. Like, honestly, the best thing happening to Cleveland right now, you fire that idiot Justin Bibb as mayor, you fire that fucking retard Wayne Drummond as the police chief of the city, and you hire a new mayor and a new police chief, and you have better representation overall there, and you actually have better policing in that city from the top down is what it is, because you have a good police chief that actually knows how to deal with law and order, and you have them recruit a bunch of good cops from out of state is what it is then, dude, to come here and pay them a good living wage. Because that's another problem with Cleveland, by the way. They're paying shit wages, dude. You have pretty much every other department in the state of Ohio that pays like either 2 to 3 times what they pay. And it's like, bro, You want people to work for like 14, 15 bucks an hour, 18 bucks an hour, whatever it is? Like, nah, dude. You got to pay these cops like $30, $40 an hour or more, man, for real. Anyway, so yeah, Drummond basically trying to pass the buck, even though it's false scroll out his dumb ass, which he stressed to the Cleveland.com article and Plain Dealer editorial board earlier this month. Mike Pulaskic, who chairs City Council's Safety Committee, doesn't buy that explanation, saying, quote, Wayne Drummond is full of shit. That's funny. Yes. I'm not even going to lie, dude. Like, as much as I don't like Pulaski because he's another Democrat, like, he'd be a better fucking mayor right now than Justin Bibbs' ass would be. And at least he'd bring in a decent fucking police chief, if that be the case then, man. And it wouldn't be some fucking idiot. I'm pretty sure that's actually Mike Pulaski right there, though. Oop, can't show that. Sorry, YouTube. Didn't know that was there. Had no idea that there was a video about to play there. Not my fault. Yeah, it looked like it was at a gas station that dude was being got the shit kicked out of him is what it is there. Yeah, so it was probably him telling the kids to fuck off or whatever. He didn't have any money for them or whatever, and they just beat shit out of him then. But yeah, that was Pulaski that was talking there is what it was. Anyway, he said, anyone thinking that there's no correlation between police visibility and rising crime is living in a dreamland, is what Pulaski added. Said Drummond declined to respond to Pulasic's accusation, but he has pointed to previous cases, including the mass shooting in downtown Cleveland's warehouse district on July 9th that injured 9 people, to argue that high-profile crime can occur in well-patrolled areas. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, Wayne Drummond? Oh, you mean the fucking false mass shooting that y'all claim was a mass shooting, and now it's turning out it's actually straight-up gangbanger shit, dude? By the way, there's been more that's come out about that whole shooting since the last time I did anything about this. Actually, I'm going to talk about it right now for that minute. So basically, there was 3 people involved in that one, and they were all in a fucking gang. So it was 100% gang retaliation shit. And I'm pretty sure the group of people that they were targeting and shooting at was also in a different gang. So it was like gang on gang violence at that point, dude. It wasn't fucking some random ass mass shooting like y'all want to fucking claim it was. Was literally hood crime, dude, legitimately. Anyway, says Drummond has knowledge, however, that the depleted ranks have sometimes prevented officers from being proactive. Said during Wednesday's press conference, officers offered various theories for the violence. Officials offered various theories for the violence. Bibb tried to cite the ease in which criminals can steal Kias and Hondas, and noted that the city's recent lawsuit against those car manufacturers, yeah, because that's going to do a fucking thing, you fucking moron. Here's a wild idea, Justin Bibb. I don't know. Maybe arrest the criminal youth and charge them as adults who are doing those fucking carjackings, you jackass. But no, you don't want to do that. Neither does scumbag Mike O'Malley. So O'Malley cast blame on a Republican supermajority in the Ohio politics that he says has led to liberalized gun laws. Fuck you, O'Malley, you Soros scumbag. Drummond questioned the role of parenting in Cleveland. You know what? The sad part of it is, Wayne Drummond was actually partially spot on with that one. Yes, it's fatherless homes, bro, in a lot of cases. So part of Pulaski's willingness to battle publicly with former City Hall officials stems from a rash of crime occurring in and around his home turf of Ward 8, the gas station where Tuesday's beating took place, sits on the border of Wards 8 and 10, and the suspects were arrested at a home a short distance from where Pulaski lives. Holy shit, dude. So that's like right by you. Probably like the next block over would be my guess, honestly, on that one. Says earlier this month he learned of what he called a Ward 8 gun battle between rival gangs driving stolen cars that resulted in a homicide in broad daylight. Pulaski warned Bibb he was in potential quicksand and questioned his urgency in addressing crime here in Cleveland. Said same day Bibb announced his pledge to offer bonuses and other incentives to increase police recruitment and retention. On July 20th, he outlined a plan for investments to fund a police recruitment marketing plan and announced an anti-carjacking pilot program. How's that going to work out, buddy? The anti-carjacking program? Is it going to be you actually arresting and charging these criminal youth as adults now? oh no, it's not going to do that at all. It's just you fucking saying all kinds of sweet nothings and just lying your fucking ass off. And then being like, but look, everybody, we're doing something. So you should totally reelect me during reelection time in a couple of years. Fuck you, Justin Bibb. You seriously, bro. Kevin Kelly, who was your opponent in that thing. The guy wasn't a great fucking opponent, but he sure as shit would have been better than you at the fucking Cleveland mayor's office, you asshole. Like, seriously, bro. To Clevelanders in the state of Ohio, stop voting in Democrats as mayors, period, and especially stop voting for black Democrat mayors. You did it with Frank Jackson, you're doing it with Justin Bibb now, and they're both fucking worthless scumbags, dude. They suck, legitimately. They are terrible fucking leadership of your city. They are helping destroy your city and make it more of a shithole than it was previously. So anyway, continuing on with the rest of the notes, Bibb and Drummond also say that they are engaging with federal law enforcement to target violent offenders in Cleveland. Yet they're letting them back on the hook again there. So though they're withholding details, of course they are, because they didn't do shit, man. They're claiming they're doing this stuff, but in reality they haven't done jack shit is what it is, dude. So still hostilities between Pulaski and Bibb prompted the mayor and his staff to boycott a city council meeting earlier this month. Says in the meantime, violence in South Collinwood neighborhood has continued to roil the neighborhood, particularly near the sites of the gas station beating and the gun battle Pulaski described. Past 2 weeks, police have responded to nearly 15 nearby shootings that have wounded at least 6 people, including 3 juveniles. On July 15th, police said the officers were shot at near the corner of Ivanhoe Road and Mollendary Avenue. I'm going to go look up this fucking area, actually, because I guarantee this is hood shit right here, man. Like, there's no way this isn't, like, straight up the hood. All right, let's do a street view here. Oh, yeah, that's a fucking ghetto, dude. Legitimately. Oh, my God, bro. Like, that is a fucking ghetto if I've ever seen it in the state of Ohio, man. Look how bad that road is, for God's sakes. Like, that's the problem, is you got, like, these shitty-ass roads and these shitty-ass neighborhoods, dude. And let's keep going down this a little bit more here. Got some random business there. Looks like an empty warehouse here, probably. That's the real problem with Ohio, by the way. I've seen this in Canton a lot, too, where you just have, like, these empty warehouses that used to be, like, garages or whatever, and they could be renovated to something better, but they're not. And that's the problem. That's where you need to take city money and put them investing in this people, dude. And actually investing in new businesses in your cities and make for jobs to be able to be a thing there. And the reason you can call these places ghettos is because obviously you got all the overgrown grass. You got, everything basically fenced in that you don't want stolen. Very downtrodden looking buildings. Brick buildings that haven't been updated in decades. You can basically see the just wherewithal there. That's what it is there, where it should be updated, but it's not. All the overgrown grassing on the other side there. Yeah, just not a great looking area, man. Yeah, I can totally see there being a gun battle in these places, man. I mean, hell. Makes sense. I think this is a school right here, if I'm not mistaken. Got another boarded up business over here. Jesus. Yeah. You want to know why these places are shitholes, dude? It's because there's nothing for these kids to do. There's no work for these people to have, man. And then you wonder why it's just a fucking hell pocket. Like, that's the reason why right there, man. Anyway, it said on Monday, an argument among about 10 males at the convenience store at the corner of St. Clair Avenue and Stevenson Road led to another gun exchange. Police reported one victim shot in the thumb, told police that he drove away from the store. A man in the street, quote, turned towards my direction and had a long firearm in his hands. What the hell was he carrying? An AR pistol in his pants or something? Dude, Jesus. Like, seriously. Or was it like basically like just a big ass Glock with a fucking big ass drum mag in it or something like that? Like a lot of these idiot little hood kids love to carry around, dude. It's got one of them full auto switches on the back of it. So a motorist who said he was an innocent bystander swerved in the road and made a fast turn, but heard about 8 to 10 shots ring out after that. Jesus. Fucking pathetic. Actually, let's look up where that place is now that I'm thinking about it, because it did say that gas station there. So let's look up how hood this fucking gas station is, dude. And we'll finish off today's episode with that. All right, so this is St. Clair right here. That looks like a pretty ghetto mart right there, like a 7-Eleven kind of place or whatever. That might be the gas station in question. This is like some project housing right here, it looks like almost. All right, typically I guess you call that row housing, because I've seen some places like that in Columbus too that were like usually like student apartments and shit. So that looks like a mini mart right here. So that probably is the gas station they're talking about, or something similar to it, if that'd be the case then. But maybe not. Let's keep looking a little bit here. Although I did type in that exact address and that's what popped up there. So yeah, that probably is exactly where we're at then. Yeah, this is Collie convenience store right here. So then that would be like a little mini mart across the street from it there. So yeah, food mart. Yeah, this is probably the gas station that happened at actually then. Yeah, that plate. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, right there. We accept EBT. Big ass fucking sign on the front door, dude. Holy shit. That is a fucking ghetto if I've ever seen one, dude. I'm trying to see if the inside windows there actually have bars on them or not, or like some kind of mesh glass or something like that. Because that's another way to tell if you're like in the super hood. This is what it is there. But yeah, this is if this isn't ghetto, this is 100% ghetto adjacent. That's what it is, dude. So yeah, not a good place at all. Not a good place at all. So see if anybody's saying anything out in the chat here. Let's see what we got here. Same idiots support gun control, voters, same idiots that won't believe when they're lined up against the wall. The same guy, yeah, exactly. And that's what it is, dude. And that's exactly why I've said during this episode, even. That's exactly why they don't want us to be armed, because they know if we're armed and they try to do some tyrant shit, we would do the same thing to them, honestly. And we'd be justified in doing so, because we'd be, doing what our founding fathers told us to do, which is kill tyrants. That's what it is. So, let's see what else at this one. Let's see, bastards in charge today voted to fuck us all over by permanently reauthorization the Undetectable Firearms Act. Piece of shit, Ossoff and Warnock voted to pass it. Fucking hell, man. For those wondering what that is, I'm pretty sure that's like a ghost gun ban, more or less. So, yeah, completely unconstitutional. It really, like, honestly, I've said it before, I'll say it again, man. It really is time to just stop having a federal government entirely. Because they do nothing for us except fuck us in the ass every chance they get. So it's like, what's the point of even having one at this point then? And just literally we just go back to states' rights and stuff like that and just go as like independent states is what it is. Then if we all want to come together as a state mega block or something like that and have leadership like that or whatever, dude, that's how we should work then. And that's how balkanization should really be at this point, honestly. And I've talked about it a little bit before here and there, and I'll say it again, like I said before, dude. If we were to do balkanization the right way, what you would have is you'd have basically like 4 or 5 sectors throughout America, where it would be anywhere from like 6 to 8 states or so, give or take, where you just have like this big block of states here, a big block of states over there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, throughout America. Texas may or may not be its own thing, just to see from everybody essentially at that point, just be like, no, fuck you, we're Texas or whatever. Here's our big swinging Texas dick is what it is. And, but yeah, you would be, or technically you'd have Texas pretty much be like a neutral ground kind of thing is what it'd be though. But then you'd also have other states in that whole thing, which would be places like New Jersey or something like that, or Delaware or something. That would essentially be like no-go zones. And it would be something along the lines of, you would have these people that would be in these different states or whatever the case be, if they wanted to be, if you wanted to cast their asses out of your state coalition or whatever it is there, you would basically just kick their asses out into no man's land, and they could basically live into this random state is what it is then. Kind of like that movie Escape from New York, or any, dystopian future movie like that or whatever. where it's like, oh, here's, you know, a free land, but it's all like criminal infested and shit like that. And that's exactly what it would be then. So, yeah. And let's see here. What was that? Undetectable Firearms Act. Let's see, would include pretty much any polymer gun with understanding, which is almost every gun. I swear to God, they want us to go to fucking revolution before 2024 election at this point, dude. And, you know, just what I'm doing right now, it's like, yeah, baby, let's lick some fucking chops right now, because that's about what any given day anymore, dude. I'm like, you know what? Let's fucking do this, man. Let's fucking do it already. Let's just have it out and fucking have it done with. Because we'd be better off as a country after that then. You know, it would suck for a lot of people, honestly, because most of us have probably PTSD from just all the carnage and shit we saw from those things. But at the end of the day, honestly, the ones of us that survived, at least future generations wouldn't have to fight this fucking battle. And it would be on us. You know, it's like 20 years from now, it's like, oh, Grandpa Adam, why are you all fucked up? Or actually, it'd be more like 40 years from now, when I'm like 70, it would be like, oh, Grandpa Adam, why are you all fucked up? And nobody knows what like, you don't want to talk about those times in the 2020s. And it's like, yeah, because I had to kill like 50 people to make sure our fucking country was safe again. You know, it's like, yeah, I had to take the lives of like 50 tyrants in this country or something like that. Little Johnny, you know, metaphorically speaking, obviously, scenario non-existent speaking, I'm saying that in general is what it would be, dude. But yeah, that's pretty much what it would be, honestly. It's like, yeah, you had to do a bunch of fucking shit you really didn't want to do, and you had to take a bunch of tyrant lives you really didn't want to have to take, is what it is. But because those tyrants wouldn't fuck off, is what it was. They forced your hand in a revolution. So, anyway, I don't know anymore. Like I said, though, man, like, I'm really to a point where it's like, I just stopped giving a fuck. You know, 2019 really broke me, honestly, in a lot of cases, with the whole federal swatting thing. And then being followed by creepy ass federal agents after that, like a few days following that. And it's like, you know, what's funny too is at that point on this channel, you know, obviously that was stuff I deleted over the years now in response to their federal swatting is what it was there. But there was like a lot of streams where back then in like 2018, 2017, etc. There was stuff where I was talking about, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, if something ever happens and I get a knock on my door from federal government, like this is probably to be over kind of thing or whatever then. And, you know, kind of like half-ass paranoia, but then in reality, it's like, yeah, it's not really paranoia when it actually happens then. And then it's like, well, you know, y'all knew it was fucking bullshit, but yet you still came out anyway. And that's the thing, right? Like, if they really wanted to have a real talk with me and stuff, they could have fucking done so over the phone and been like, yeah, we're pretty sure you're not a threat, but we know that you do own guns, and, you know, people have, you know, made these accusations that you made these threats against potential fucking presidential candidate Andrew Yang, et cetera, et cetera. Even though we know it's bullshit, we know it's a theory, you know, it's fucking, you know, a literal what if scenario kind of thing. But yet they still fuck with my life for over an hour of my life and tried to put me in handcuffs, basically, knowing that they had no actual thing to do so and trying to get me to self-incriminate the entire time. Because what their end game would have been if they could have charged me with something, I guarantee this, they would have tried to put me at under one of the Patriot Front masks or one of the Blood Tribe masks or something like that, dude, and be some federal fuckboy, some fucking federal informant guy to fuck over other people is what it was. And then I wouldn't have done prison time is what it would have been then. And the thing is, they didn't have enough to charge me with anything, and that's why they had to fuck off that day. While admitting to me, as they're walking back to their car, we wasted 6 days on this? Oh, you illegally spied on me for almost a week of my life? Without my knowledge, breaking every single constitutional right that I have, and illegally doing warrantless searches on me? Oh, you mean that kind of shit, motherfuckers? And people wonder why I want a big ass fucking payday and want these cocksuckers fired and have their pensions taken from them? Yeah, that's why, honestly. Just for those reasons, dude, because they were legally spying on me for a week of my fucking life without my knowledge. And breaking all kinds of due process and everything else for that matter in the process is what it was, dude. So, anyway. Let's see here. Yeah. Again, we're just talking scenario-wise. We're not saying stuff I'd actually do, just to be clear on that one. I'm not calling for violence against anyone. Just to make that clear to everybody out there that may see this in the future, anything else for that matter. So, anyway. It is what it is, man. Like I said, I could give a fuck at this point, honestly. If somebody wants to try to bust me for something, fucking try to bust me for something, honestly. If they really want to try to jack me up on some stuff, guess what? I prefer to see the shit out of them is what it is. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff, dude. Just to be clear, anything that was, like, I want to make this very clear right now, by the way. Anything that was said in the past 15 minutes of this episode was all just game theory. What if this happens, that would happen kind of thing is what it is, dude. I'm not calling for direct violence against anyone. I'm not calling for violence against anyone, period. I'm simply saying stop fucking with our rights, honestly, legitimately. Because you will lead us into something is what it is. And you're not going to like the outcome when you do. Like, that's all I'm honestly saying, dude. It's basically fuck around and find out. You want to keep doing tyrannical shit and think the American people are going to put up with it for X amount of time, dude? We're not going to anymore is what it is. You know? I've seen, like, that's the thing. I'm 38 years old. I've lived through an assault weapons ban in 1994. I've lived through 9/11. I have lived through many of the worst presidencies in U.S. history, whether it be Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, fucking George H.W. Bush, Barack Obama, etc. I've also lived through one of the greatest presidencies in my entire life in Donald Trump. I've lived through years of fucking cheating asshole in Biden right now. And, you know, I'm just fucking over it, honestly, dude. Like, I've just had it, honestly, is what it is. And I think many other people have too, for that matter. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you keep doing tyrannical shit, and then you wonder why a revolution comes out of it. Like, it's not that hard to figure out. It's not that hard to equate the things together, dude. It's like, do X, and then Y and Z will happen in response to that, is what it is. So, but yeah, I could easily see myself, you know, 40, 50 years from now on a porch, just rocking back and forth, all quiet and silent and shit like that. And you just have a bunch of great grandkids walking past me into the house or whatever the case be. And they're like, why is great grandpappy out there rocking his rocking chair again? And then they're fucking told, like, oh yeah, he didn't talk about those kind of things he did back then. He doesn't talk about the atrocities I had to commit to maintain freedom of this country, you know? And for all I know, I won't even make it to that point. I might die in the fucking thing for all I know, dude. And that's one thing a lot of people got to ask themselves, right? And that's one thing I think with a lot of cowardice in this country as well, is how many people are truly willing to die to make sure that the Constitution of the United States remains intact right now? And I think the answer is not enough, honestly. And I think that's the biggest issue right now, is there's too many people with too much left to lose right now. And until things come directly at them, until you have, you know, agents of the state literally beating their fucking doors in with battering rams and stuff like that, by then it's going to be way too late, honestly. Actually, a great example of all this came in the form of the concept trailer of a movie some years ago. I'm trying to think what the name of it was now. Gray State, that's what it was called. And of course, the director of that they claimed it was a murder-suicide, that he supposedly killed his family and then himself, but in reality, he was pretty much assassinated by the Obama administration is what it was, because he was speaking too much truth in that documentary that he was coming out with. Or I shouldn't say documentary, I should say in that low-budget film that he was coming out with. And then, of course, they made that into a weird documentary that was all kinds of fucking off-putting and just odd by the people who were part of the original thing is what it was. But yeah, the gist of it was basically everything we're seeing now, from surveillance state stuff to, digital coin being put forth and digital dollars and stuff like that, and fucking over the American dollar and everything else like that. And going full Demolition Man. Honestly, I want to be truthful with everybody right now, dude. If something ever happens where we are in like Demolition Man Utopia future or whatever, dude, where it's like dystopian shit like that, I am 100%, like, I'm not going to be Edgar friendly, Dennis Leary's character in that movie, but like, I would be one of those people in the fucking sewers, because I would rather die free in a fucking sewer system than ever live above ground in some cucked ass fucking society that tries to fuck me over and fuck my rights over from being able to tell them to go fuck themselves without being like, you are fined 1 credit for the verbal morality code statute or some stupid shit like that. And God forbid they force us to use those 3 goddamn seashells because fuck that shit. I actually heard something a few years ago, because that was one scene they never put in that movie. People were actually explaining how you would use the 3 seashells, and it's essentially you would like pinch your shit out and then scrape the fucking shit out of your asshole with the 3rd one. And it's like, no thank you, bro. I use some TP here. I'm good. If I have to, I'll use leaves and shit when it comes down to it, man. So obviously don't use leaves of 3 because you might end up with poison ivy around your asshole. So leaves of 3, let it be. So anyway, but I'm getting kind of sleepy again. I got some stuff I got to do here in a couple hours, so I think maybe I'll end up taking a nap here and then getting up, do some gaming stuff, and go from there. Is what it is. Hopefully, I still have a YouTube channel available to me later today. After this, I'm debating if I actually want to just delete this entire stream after this is all said and done now. Just because I don't think I will, honestly. But I don't know, man. I mean, most of these grandstands only get like maybe 5 or 10 people watching them anyway. So yeah, if you see something where you were part of this one that doesn't, if 269 just doesn't exist after this or whatever, like, you know why, and we'll just do a new 269 or whatever the case be later on then. So, although I do kind of want to save this just because of the fact there is stuff I do want to get out of this whole thing, because there was a lot of time spent at the beginning of this talking about the scumbaggery of Bib and everybody else like that is what it is, dude, and Russo and all those people like that is what it is there, and calling out their bullshit lies and stuff. So anyway, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I have no problem saying what I'm going to say. It's called First Amendment freedom of speech, bro. Again, X equates to Y, equates to Z, and then to A, et cetera, et cetera. And you got tyrant criminals doing tyrant shit, dude, and you're going to have a response is what it is. In some cases it'll be lawsuits. In some other cases it'll just be other people being like, fuck that. It's going to be, armed revolution kind of thing is what it'll be then. I'm not saying I'm calling for that because I'm not, obviously. I would probably be more in the lawsuit crew at that point, honestly. But the thing is, again, when you have these lawsuits that take, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever the case be, then it's like, what's the fucking point, man? And then, of course, you got the dickheads in the ATF doing the firm receiver stuff at the Supreme Court now, or trying to do a stay on it at the Supreme Court now to get them to hear it. And it's like, they should hear that, and they should overturn the shit immediately until the ATF to go fuck itself. And at the same time, hear another case on red flag laws and deem them unconstitutional once and for all, and tell all these states to fuck off is what it is, dude, and tell the DOJ to fuck off, too, that's trying to bribe people right now. So, anyway. Talking about NEA in this one, obviously. I was right when he said Woodrow Wilson was probably the most obvious time of corruption. Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Woodrow Wilson was the one that was voted in after women got the right to vote, if I'm not mistaken there. I could be wrong about that one. Actually, let me go check that just because, again, my mind is not great when it comes to presidencies in this country, is what it is, dude. Presidential timeline. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at now? Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, here's what I want from the Library of Congress. We'll just do a screen share on this one real quick. So let's see. We obviously had the greatest president of all time, George Washington, who had no actual political affiliation. Then we had John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, who was the main reason why we now have insurrection acts in this country. You had Thomas Jefferson again for a second term from 1805 to 1809. James Madison. In a weird thing of like, looks like 2-year terms or something there. James Monroe, John Quincy Adams. A lot of those guys are founding fathers, by the way. Andrew Jackson, who people always give shit to, but he actually was pretty badass in his own time. Like, apparently, I guess he was a raging racist in some cases, but like, he would also do like public duels with people and shit. So, yeah, he was pretty badass, dude. Martin Van Buren, obviously, that was during the Hard Times token thing that I have a actual token of in the bedroom there. William Henry Harrison was probably the most interesting president of the United States, actually, for 2 different reasons. Because he only was in there for like, I think, like 10 or 14 days or something before he died of like the flu or something. But also the fact that he was a dude who back in the 1820s, I think is what it was, maybe 1810s even. Like, I'm trying to remember now. Because I'm trying to think how old he was when he got into power. I think he was in his like 60s or 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Or not, maybe not quite that old, but like, yeah, I'm trying to think. I think he was like 20 or 25 when he did this, but basically, he did like some scorched earth campaign on Native Americans in this country. There was a guy named Tecumseh back then who was it was like War of like 1812 or something like that, I think is what it was. And he was trying to ally with the French and shit like that. And you had William Henry Harrison leading a brigade of people at the time. He was like some military general guy or whatever in that time period. And they waited for the warriors of the tribe to leave all the guys that were going on war parties and stuff. And they went in there and they destroyed the entire encampments and massacred a bunch of women and children and stuff like that, dude. So he was 100% a war criminal that was able to take the presidency down. So it's pretty fucked up in general there. And that actually all was showed in the History Channel documentary, The Men Who Built America, Frontiersmen. So, all right, let's see here. Going forward here, 1850s, 1880s, 1900, 1912, 1913. Okay, so it was Woodrow Wilson then. So, I mean, technically, no, I guess technically it wasn't him that would have been the guy that was elected during, well, yeah, because he would have had he would have been 1916 is when he would have been elected. So it would have been the women's right to vote was not until 1919. So the guy that they elected in 1921 was Warren G. Harding. Okay, so that's the scumbag that they elected, was that motherfucker Harding. And then, yeah, Calvin Coolidge from 23 to 29 was actually one of the best presidents of the United States, actually, because he basically did nothing is what it was, and had the Roaring Twenties go on there. And then, of course, it was Herbert Hoover that took us directly into the Great Depression. And then, of course, Great Depression was under FDR is what it was there. So, and then Truman came after him, and then Eisenhower after that, Kennedy after that, LBJ, who helped assassinate Kennedy after that, Richard Nixon after Johnson, Gerald Ford after Nixon, piece of shit Jimmy Carter after that, dickhead Ronald Reagan after that, who actually legitimately gave gun control and a bunch of other shit to Democrats back then, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, and now, of course, scumbag cheater Biden. So, yeah, good times, y'all. Anyway, let's see, where are we at right now? Attack our Constitution every day. Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, too, about that, I mean, we talked about it a few times. I know Honda's talked about it more than I have with the whole, 2030 agenda and all these globalists being like, oh, by 2030, you will have nothing and be happy. And it's like, unless I'm going to be in a fucking suicide pod or something like that, dude, I'm not going to be happy. And even then it would be having to put me in that pod to kill me is what it is. So, anyway. Let's see what we're here now. 4 dinner boxes down. Yeah. It's not surprising. I don't know anymore, man. Like I said, I'm just over it right now, honestly. I have no idea who the 4th person is watching right now. For all I know, it's the ATF at this point, or maybe the FBI for that matter again. Or it could just be one of the people that I actually permanently stopped from being able to say anything on this channel a while ago because they were doing stupid shit then. And so they're just sitting there posting stuff and don't realize I'm not reading their posts because they can't post is what it is. So I assume that's who it is, but who knows? It might be, hello, Mr. ATF agent, Mr. FBI agent. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I don't really care anymore, honestly. But anyway. I'm just fucking over it, man. I really am. But yeah, as long as I still have the channel later on today, I'm not getting channel striked or whatever for this video today or right now. That's what I'm doing right now. I will be back for Freedom Friday later today. We'll be doing a remembrance of the California Massacre, the Gilbert Garlic Festival that happened in 2019, because it's been 4 years since that. And we'll discuss the whole ins and outs of that situation, the criminality that led up to it, the event itself, the aftermath of it, etc., etc. Reading of names of those who perished that day, unfortunately, because a scumbag criminal was allowed to be armed in a gun-free zone. So we didn't have anybody stop him because, again, it's a gun-free zone. But for those that want to, I will be in the back chat for a few minutes here. If you want to come in the back chat and bullshit, I will drop the link in the description there for the StreamYard link. So I'll give that a minute to go through, and I'll take a drink of water while I'm talking about some stuff. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much what we're going to be at for today is what it is. So I'll be back in about, let's see, it's about 7:30 almost right now. So I'm trying to think right now because I got some stuff I got to do at like 4 o'clock this afternoon. So maybe like 4:45, give or take, would be the episode for this afternoon then for the thing. Or I may actually even do it before that now I'm thinking about it. It might be more like 2:30 this afternoon or something like that. Like I'll just do it before everything I need to do or whatever. And then go from there is what it'll be then. So, and that way I can do whatever I need to do after that then. So, anyway. If anybody wants to, like I said, come in the back chat there, use the StreamYard link I just dropped there. But other than that, I will be back later today about 7-8 hours from now, probably, give or take. And be doing the Freedom Friday episode then. Other than that, it's about to be a hot-ass day in Ohio in about 4 hours here is when the heat advisory is supposed to be kicking in then at 11 o'clock this afternoon. Or late morning, early afternoon is what I should say on that one. So, yeah, not going to be fun. But other than that, that's where I'm going to be at for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.